We're going to Tide Hunters. And in the red corner, top left, our resident Orc Destroyer, SoK. And in the bottom right, Soin, the Human Slayer. Going for the fast altar right away. SoK opting to open standard. I'll fix this booster overlay really quickly. Make sure we're back down to 0-0. Very exciting matchup here. I've been looking forward to this one all weekend. It's a showdown. Orc versus Human. SoK versus Soin. Tide Hunters. Great matchups earlier today. Todd taking down Spiral. Lawliot also conquering Spiral. So unfortunately, Spiral has been eliminated from the W3Champions tournament. Congratulations to Lawliot, who I believe has also defeated X-Lord, who will find himself in the loser bracket later today. And Barracks coming up. War Mill as well. May see our favorite Farseer Headhunters. Farseer Headhunters love human opponents. It's the Archmage getting ready. Footman Scouts sent out. Want to see what's coming. I'm sure you already know what's coming. Gotta check it out anyway. And gonna take down this yellow camp right here, orange camp for Militia. Meanwhile, the Footman is greeted by Farseer and some Wolves. Slew it down a little bit, just a second or two there. And the Footy's gonna go and start doing some slices onto the altar. While Archmage's gonna finish off this camp, take the Circlet of Nobility, and move on along to the next camp. Wolves are scouting to make sure the Expo isn't coming up just yet. Farseer now at the main base. Being pushed back slightly by the Archmage, will retreat back to at least the middle of the map. Footy here, potentially for some body blocks. Instead, just a couple slices. Meanwhile, Feral Spirit is going to lock this peasant in and take its life. A couple Militia, not enough. And instead, the Militia, the peasant will pay its life. And playing a little mind games here around this water bank.
A town is under siege.
Checking on the macros here, getting a Arcane Tower up as soon as possible to deal with this constant harassment of Spirit Wolves. Level 1. This will add up. It will disrupt the economy with enough pressure. And Archmage continuing to kind of loop around this water bank here, chasing one another into the middle of the map. Feral Spirit continuing to disrupt the human economy as one peasant getting low into the gold line. And it is resummoned as a fresh wolf will re-engage with the human main base. Meanwhile, Archmage has a mind of its own. Potentially going to return some of the favor, but instead going to creep some of the green camps near the Orc main base. SoK versus Spiral. I don't know if there was a SoK versus Spiral. I'm under the impression Spiral played Lawliot earlier today, Lawliot, and then played Todd and lost both games. And a nice mass of Headhunters here. 5 with a 6th right behind to support, and a deny here as well. Chasing this Water Elemental back. Only 4 footies, you can't take this fight. These 6 headhunters without defend, that is a battle you cannot win, SoK. And he knows. He's retreating back to his safe territory, wants to begin creeping. Unhindered.
A player's forces are under attack.
The high damage output of the headhunter is going to allow him to easily take this merchant camp. Soin will be greeted with Toma Strength and Replenishment Potion. Archmage going to go put some pressure on the Orc base here. While finishing up this camp with the Water Elemental, but it won't be enough. Archmage going to go cancel that Spirit Lodge. Nice timing here from SoK. Right as Tier 2 is online and the Spirit Lodge has begun. Water Elemental's in to disrupt, and Archmage also pressuring it down again. Potentially a second cancel on the Spirit Lodge. And again, great timing here, but this Hex is going to disrupt you. Put a wrench in your plans here as the Archmage is forced to retreat back. Another Hex onto the Archmage. Maybe forcing a TP with another Hex or two and a potential surround opportunity for Soin here. Another Hex. Putting the Archmage in a dangerous position. And a TP is used here. Don't want to push it to the limit. As SoK retreats back. And Soin engages with the red camp. Meanwhile, MK is creeping up to level 3 on its own at the Natural Expo for SoK. And SoK on Tier 2 right now. Opted for Fast Tech to Tier 2. No Expo yet. Going to Priests. Going to be able to deal with these Feral Spirits. Getting some Dispel. Also might see a second Sanctum coming up to get some Breaker Army. Although no Tauren Chieftain, so not sure how SoK wants to deal with this Shadow Hunter. Archmage and MK teaming up together to face this next creep camp.
A player's forces are under attack.
Soin moving the lightning shielded headhunter back as to not damage his own army and will easily take down this Renegade Wizard. And claim a Tome of Strength and Replenishment Potion as bounty. SoK opting to have MK soak most of the XP from this camp, getting up to level 2, and the Farseer is going to make an unwelcomed approach to this army here. Push it back slightly, but SoK's not going to waste any time. He's going to pull the nearby green camp back to him. Start getting this Archmage closer to level 3. Meanwhile, Soin taking this yellow camp, getting the Shadow Hunter up to level 3, pulling the Farseer away. Potentially going to go do a harassment of his own. The Shadow Hunter getting down to some more critical levels here, taking quite a bit of damage. As aggro has shifted now to the Shaman. SoK continuing his creep route, going for the laboratory now, and will be met with an early harassment from the Wolves and Farseer. Going to be quite a nuisance to this rifle transition that SoK is in the middle of right now. And nothing that rank 1 priest can't handle. A nice dispel on those Wolves, and they're a thing of the past. Potion of Healing and Potion of Mana purchased by the Archmage, preparing for what could be an incoming battle as the creep camps are being taken one by SoK and Soin. Tauren Chieftain out, third hero for the Orc army here on Tier 3. Researching rank 1 upgrades for the Shaman, granting Lightning Shield. Will be nice to get some stops in that Tauren Chieftain into that rifle backline. Rifle Caster is continued to be the play for SoK here. Taking down the Expo of the Orc army. On the Orc side here, Cloak of Shadows, not going to do anyone too good right now, probably going to get sold. Maybe creeping this Tauren Chieftain up to level 3, going to pull these heroes back, let the Tauren Chieftain soak all this XP up here. Want to get that Tauren Chieftain up to level 3 as soon as possible for those beefy war stomps. And I'm sure the Tauren Chieftain smells blood because there are no breakers at the moment to disrupt him and get in his way. But control magic being researched and sorceresses also being trained, so this suggesting breakers are on the way. As SoK must have scouted, Tauren Chieftain is here. An Archmage hanging back, letting the MK soak up all the XP as we have our first encounter of the Orc entering the human main base outside of the early game. And Soin is here with a big army of headhunters and a couple shaman. This is not an army you can ignore. You must show up, SoK, and handle this. Archmage getting into position, and this first footy is going to fall immediately. A nice thunderous clap onto the front line of the Orc army. Healing wave to kind of get everyone back up to full, who just took a ton of damage from that thunderclap. Meanwhile, an additional clap, and we'll take 2 headhunters for the ride. Mount King trying to get into position, popping a mana potion, forcing the Orc army to retreat back. And a nice early defense here by SoK, and another big-time thunderclap on the couple headhunters there in the front. Tauren Chieftain does get stunned by a Stormbolt and is in the front line, very vulnerable, pops an invuln pot, does take a couple riflemen down potentially, but they are invisible by the sorceresses. MK in great position for another couple claps, but opts to Stormbolt the Tauren Chieftain instead. Tauren Chieftain does fall. Militia are called. Here come the boys from the human player to help support SoK here to take down this middle game. Another Stormbolt here with a thunderclap to boot, and a surround on the Shadowhunter, and the Shadowhunter will fall as this MK is hard carrying SoK.
A player's forces are under attack.
Shadowhunter instantly purchased and is going to run away. Soin retreating back. TP forced. Needs to regroup, reposition, and rethink this engagement with the human player. That MK is strong and is hard carrying the human right now. Expo attempt for SoK, going for the bottom left Expo. No breakers on the way, just continuing to opt for sorceresses, priests, rifles. SoK gonna go check out maybe any camps around the Orc main base, as he's gonna take a visit. He wants to engage right now, putting down a water elemental level 1. Opted for level 2 Brilliance Aura to help get that MK up. Maximize the number of claps. Only 2 units are able to be stunned by the War Stomp Footy and the Water Elemental. Not too detrimental for the human player. Healing Wave going off, putting that Tauren Chieftain into healthy levels. Able to take a fight. And a Wand of Mana Stealing has been used. Looks like. Bloodlust is online for the Orc player. These headhunters are going to start hurting, and they are getting dangerous right now. MK needs to get some mana, because right now he's getting mana stolen. Got his mana drained. No Stormbolts or claps for the human player. This could be trouble for the human right now, as the MK's not going to be able to hard carry you. Headhunters getting into good position to get snipes down on those riflemen. Riflemen falling fast and need to retreat back further. Is covered with an invisibility, but it is seen by a reveal from Soin. MK finally getting some mana here, might be able to drop a critical thunderclap in this big headhunter line here. There is the thunderclap, does hit 4 of those headhunters, and falls back into the back line to get healed up by some of those priests. Shadowhunter in a vulnerable position, but is running away quickly with the help of the speed scroll.
Under attack.
Clarity, Potion of Mana, Scroll Speed, you name it, it was purchased from the shop right there. As someone getting ready for what could be an additional encounter here. This was scouted by a headhunter, so he knows the Expo is up and is now on a timer. MK in a vulnerable position here, trying to get enough mana, and does get burned. Headhunter's in pretty good position here, pushing the human back. can't take this fight right now, as the Orc army is getting scarier and scarier as the game goes later and these heroes get stronger. Do have a couple breakers now to help deal with that Tauren Chieftain. But if they get in vulnerable positions, it's going to be hard to deal with the mass focus fire of the Orc army headhunter. The DPS output is significant. And some slows, trying to get some snipes off, but not enough. Don't want to overextend here into this scary Orc army, even with a 60 food human army. One wrong move, one wrong engagement could be the end of the game. And SoK knows this. So much experience in Warcraft 3. Tournaments, high-level play. He knows exactly what needs to be done. As does Soin. These two have played each other so often. Soin potentially wants to go disrupt that expo. He knows it's there. He's seen it. The wolf is also there, taking care of some of these peasants, but will fall to the guard tower and arcane tower, and another encounter here. A thunderclap on a couple of the units in the back line. MK getting into better position here. Tauren Chieftain a little vulnerable in the front, gonna get feedback from these spellbreakers. A nice stormbolt on the Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain has to pop a speed scroll and fall back to the back line. MK trying to get into position to drop a thunderclap on this headhunter front line here, and will drop one, only getting a couple of the frontline units, unfortunately, there for him. Tauren Chieftain trying to get into a good position here, taking down one of those water elementals with Purge. Shaman falling to the back line to protect itself there. Tauren Chieftain is getting slowed and feedbacked by the Spellbreakers now. MK ping-ponging back and forth, trying to pull out a hero if he can, and a nice war stomp by the Tauren Chieftain on the Mountain King, being forced to retreat back. A couple Spellbreakers sitting in the front line, potentially trying to feed back the rest of the heroes here. Archmage now getting into a tricky position as the Tauren Chieftain makes its way to the back line of the human. And now Shadowhunter stunned. A lot of DPS on the Shadowhunter, gets in a good position. Somehow these players have swapped positions, and now the human is on the backside and the Orc is at the top. A reveal down, revealing those invisible units. The Archmage will fall, courtesy of Chain Lightning from the Farseer. And the Orc's starting to pick up some momentum here, although the food counts are falling. Shadowhunter is weak. Tauren Chieftain has 60% health and forced to retreat. Archmage will be instantly purchased back with the help of the economy of this expo.
A player's forces are under attack.
So we're going to continue creeping here, get these hero levels up, while we are at a temporary parlay.
A town is under siege.
Dropping down the tiny Great Hall. Want to match the economy lead of the human player right now. And both players know you can't overextend right now. One overextension will mean the game. So creep out the rest of the map. Get this red camp that's up for grabs right now. Get your expo up. Get it protected. Start planning for the late game. We are 18 minutes in. This is where the games get very tricky, very complicated, very quickly, as hero levels start scaling into very powerful levels. Level 6s start becoming a real possibility, and games can be changed just by the mere presence of a level 6 hero. Has SoK here to try to disrupt the Orc plans. Stormbolt on the Shadowhunter. Shadowhunter into a very vulnerable position, but Hex onto the Mountain King, not able to drop any more Stormbolts or collapse onto the Shadowhunter. The Mountain King wants a piece of that Shadowhunter and will get it with the Stormbolt, followed by a Thunderclap on the backline army here. Headhunters are now focus firing down the the Spirit Breakers. A lot of focus fire onto this Mountain King, and can we get a Farseer snipe from the Spellbreakers? Not enough DPS. A Priest will fall. And preventing the MK death. MK does TP out, but got the Orc army down to pretty critical levels. Shadowhunter did fall. Also a couple unit losses for the human as well. Reveal is cast. Soin knows exactly where SoK is and exactly what SoK is up to. Invis on the MK, wants to get into good position for the first thunderclap here. For what could be an expo break opportunity for the human player. SoK taking advantage of this defenseless expo here from the Orc. Wants to keep that MK invisible for when this Orc shows up down here. Can get a monstrous thunderclap to start the battle. And there it is, thunderclap on the peons attempting to repair. Also the immediate front line of the Orc army. Spellbreakers getting into position to deal with the Tauren Chieftain. Meanwhile, the Headhunters focus firing down that Water Elemental, dealing tons of damage. So much DPS from the back line of the Orc player here. Spellbreakers into position in the front line now. A nice thunderclap from the Mountain King into the front line here. Shadowhunter falling to 50% health yet again. Soin is retreating back, getting into better position. Spellbreakers pressing forward, gonna take down the Shaman. As Healing Wave goes off to stabilize the Orc army. A nice thunderclap from the human. Tauren Chieftain trying to get into some sort of position to drop some sort of thunderclap, War Stomp here, and falling quickly down to 20% health. GG is called by Soin, and SoK is going to take game 1 on Tidehunters. Really great performance by SoK there, who actually was down in the overall score here. But had the better army, had the breakers to deal with the Tauren Chieftain. Had the Rifle Caster to have enough damage. Was able to sustain the DPS coming from all those Headhunters. And waiting for the next game to get hosted here, and we'll be right underway with game 2. That was a really nice performance by both of our players there. We do have a 2-minute break timer for SoK. With that, we're going to take a quick break ourselves. We'll be right back for more action. And we're back a little earlier than anticipated as Game 2 is now underway. SoK with a definitive victory. Game 1 going for standard opener here, Archmage. In the bottom right corner, Soin, his opponent, opting Farseer Headhunters again on Turtle Rock. I wonder if we'll see a pivot for the second hero of Soin here, maybe opting for Tauren Chieftain second instead of the Shadowhunter. Interesting choice, Shadowhunter second, Tauren Chieftain third. At the end was not enough to handle the thunderclaps of SoK. They were just monstrous. Able to get in a good position, clutching Viz casts by SoK as well. Just really handled every battle well in that last game, as the first turtle camp is taken down by SoK in an expo attempt potentially here. Nope, not quite. Go for this yellow camp while the Spirit Wolves are here to visit the human player and feed on some peasants right now. Farseer here to disrupt the creeping of SoK. But it's not enough to prevent level 2. As Farseer is pushed back. Meanwhile, back at the home base, some militia taking some critical damage here. This wolf smells blood and wants this kill. He's not quite going to get it. Not much left on the timer of the Feral Spirit. Oh, and that little stutter step back unfortunately cost the militia his life. Meanwhile, Archmage pushing back the Farseer right here. Aggroing the creeps, forcing the Orc to step off. Lumber mill going up for potential some extra protection at the home base and extra lumber economy as well, being power built. Opted for the 2 farm tech as well. And pushing Soin back yet again. 40% health. Headhunter and adding some grunts to the mix now for some extra frontline protection. I've seen this strategy emerge lately, adding some extra grunts into the Headhunter composition as one Headhunter falls with Defend Footies now online. Spirit Wolf's back online. Grunt here, so beefy, 700 health, able to really handle these footmen as potentially a full transition to grunts right now from Soin.
A player's forces are under attack.
More grunts than Headhunters at the moment. As the Archmage trying to get some snipes off on these Spirit Wolves. Gets a little extra XP. Farseer continuing to creep and push back the human player so we can get some experience of our own on the Orc side of things here. Maybe opting for a Tavern hero. Gonna go for the Alchemist second from SoK.
A player's forces are under attack.
Farseer picks up this camp and gets a Gauntlet of Strength. Visiting the red camp here. Take the item from this Warlord. While healing spray on the army. Meanwhile, more harassment from the Feral Spirits. Morphing into militia. No towers back at the home base, but not needed. Looks like the militia are going to be able to handle this themselves. Felt the Giant Strength, went to the Alchemist.
A player's forces are under attack.
And Orc player just going to continue creeping. Not sure if he is aware that SoK is creeping the mine next to him. And so, I'm going to take this creep camp down pretty effortlessly. Nice transition to the grunts here for some extra frontline support. It's going to make these engagements with the footmen a little bit easier. Transitioning into the Spirit Lodge and a Bestiary. Shaman coming online with some Kodos as well. Torn Chieftain also online, second hero selected from Soin. And the human wants a piece of this burrow. Archmage, level 2 Water Elemental, and Alchemist going to go to town on it, minimizing the surface area that the peons can get to repair it. And Torn Chieftain is here now, potentially going to get some big-time stomps on these footmen. Purge is going off on the Water Elemental right now, certainly going to help take that down as the Archmage focus firing onto the Grunts, trying to back them off. Grunts returning the favor with axes to the face. Footy's trying to take down some Shaman from the backline here to minimize the amount of purges going off on these Water Elementals, and these Kodos are hungry. First treat of the day, a nice footman. Is just enough for Soin to push SoK away from the base, get his army healed back up, and continue creeping. Healing Wave salvaging some of these footies. Now these Dire Wolves, level 2 Spirit Wolves, are going to be a little deadlier and a little more difficult to deal with. As a peon, a wild peon has appeared, potentially going to expo this camp. And SoK saw that. SoK saw all he needed to see to know he needs to disrupt this. Thank you so much for the subscription. Back to Warcraft. And as always, Back to Warcraft providing an incredible stream over on the A stream at the moment. So make sure to check them out as coverage continues of W3Champions here on Stream B. And XP stolen, granting level 2 to the Alchemist. Acid Bomb. Nice war stop on this footman frontline here. Also, Archmage in a little bit of trouble here, falling a little low, but nothing the Alchemist can't help with. As the human army is pushed back, does not like the position that he's in, needs to get back and live to fight another day. Feral Spirits are resummoned to avoid giving any XP to the human player, optimizing every little bit of XP transfer. And the boys have been called. Militia on the way to help push this Orc army back. Couple sorceresses, couple priests, potentially some breakers.
A player's forces are
on the way. Control magic being trained. And pulling this creep camp back out, but gonna back off for now and re-engage when the Orc begins. Try to get a little creep jack. Slow cast on the Torn Chieftain, struggling to get to the back line, get to better position. Torn Chieftain taking quite a bit of damage there, down to 70% health. Instares going off on the footman now. Raiders are online. Shaman are here, ready to purge any water elementals that get in the way. The boys have been called to help out with this attack. The Sea Turtle is still up for grabs, and the item is still up for grabs. And poor Sea Turtle caught in the middle of this battle of the ages here. And these players are going to juggle this Sea Turtle back and forth, trying to sick it onto their opponent, and then creep jack at the right moment. Sea Turtle going down quickly. Maybe the item going to the Orc player here. Scroll of Speed is popped to get in a good position here. Try to swoop around to the back line of the human army and prevent them from running away. But instead going to kind of pivot backwards. Kodo Beast did end up eating a Spellbreaker, so that's a nice little tasty treat. Both ate a Spellbreaker. Ensnare and Archmage in very vulnerable position. Chain Lightning going off. Focus Fire on the Archmage. TP is forced and the human has to get out of here. With two of your frontline breakers in the bellies of the Kodo Beast, you just don't have enough frontline to deal with this Orc army, and the item is going to go to the Torn Chieftain. Periept. Or was it the Potion of Greater Healing? I didn't quite see. And these Kodos are walking slow. And a Spellbreaker potentially going to make it to the front to try to do a little body blocking here, rescue their friends. They have two Spellbreakers in the bellies here. Want to get them out and break them free. Another battle has begun here in the middle of Turtle Rock. Speed scroll popped and the Orc wants to get out of here. Reposition. re-strategize, and get ready for another push. Healing salve, scroll of speed purchased.
A player's forces are under attack.
Taking down this extra mine here. This gargantuan sea turtle. The item will go to the human player. We have manual health, potion of invulnerability. Big potion. 15-second going to the alchemist. Meanwhile, this level 7 creep getting taken down as well. Items will be potion of invuln, tome of agility. So invuln potions going all around. Almost every hero has one at the moment, except the Archmage. Potionless, but just picked up one of his own at the shop.
A player's forces are under attack.
Alright, and back at home base. Training level 1 sorceress upgrades. Spellbreakers also in queue. Human player fastly approaching, just checking the orc base quickly. More shaman, more actual wyverns now coming out. Kodos tried to eat, unfortunately couldn't get a bite down, couldn't get a firm grasp on the unit. Has to retreat back, and one shaman will fall and be denied. Lightning shield onto the Torrent Chieftain, gonna try to take down what's left of these militia. The boys will fall. Lightning shield now going on to damage these water elementals. Militia trying to deal with the grunt front line right here. One Kodo base dangerously close to falling. Alchemist into the back line now of the Orc army. Invuln pop for the Archmage as slightly out of position here in the middle of the fight. Wind Riders are now online. Alchemist in the middle of the battle, ready to heal up anything. Casters well positioned in the backline, but the Archmage now in a vulnerable position. Got ensnared and now surrounded in the trees. No TP, but is invised by a sorceress. Double invis just for insurance policy. Chain lightning going off on the casters. And they gotta get out of here. 44 food human. It's looking a little dangerous for you right now. Soin smells blood in the water and wants to take this to game 3. Nice breaker line here, just enough to push the Orc army back, feed back a lot of mana out of this Farseer, prevent chain lightnings. Torrent Chieftain does not have enough mana for any war stomps. It might just be time to retreat back, get mana, and just prepare for another engagement. You have 61 food, but without mana, it might be tough. But instead, Soin is going to turn back around, pivot, and engage this human army. Both water elementals targeting the Wind Riders. Torrent Chieftain in pretty good position here, chopping away at the Alchemist. Alchemist throwing an acid bomb down on the grunts, lowering their armor by 4. Water elementals continue to focus down the Wind Riders, but will fall and grant some XP chunks to the Torrent Chieftain and the Farseer. Healing wave going out. Healing spray, sorry, going out, and ensnare to cancel it. Kodo Beast tried to get a nice tasty Spellbreaker meal, but unfortunately has to retreat back. Alchemist in a vulnerable position, falling down to 40 and 30% health. Wind Rider starting to focus now. The casters taking some damage from the Archmage. And not enough damage to make it fall. 4 health does escape, but an ensnare on the Archmage. In vulnerable position now, down to 50% health very quickly. As this Kodo does eat a treat, but the breaker is released. One breaker in the belly of the beast in the back here. Alchemist starting to fall again. Nothing that heal spray can't fix, though, right in the middle of the battle. One grunt is going to get denied by Soin.
A player's forces are under attack.
Very nice engagements by both players here, turning the game back and forth, and now the food count advantage going to SoK with 50 food to 42. Hero levels are pretty close, with Orc having an advantage here. Level 4 Torrent Chieftain, almost level 5 Farseer. Invis cast on the Water Elementals and the Alchemist. Trying to get in a good position here, trying to cut off a path for the Orc army to retreat back to home base. Invis Water Elemental in good position now to get some snipes off on the Wind Rider, but 2 purges quickly take care of that. And I believe the Kodo Beast has finished digesting its Spellbreaker appetizer. Slows continue to be cast on the Orc army. SoK trying to take advantage and cut off any pathing. Potentially taking down a Kodo Beast will help greatly with this next battle, with no War Drums and no Spellbreakers to be eaten. Can SoK get into good enough position without overextending to take down the Kodo Beast, and will retreat back slightly. Alchemist getting ensnared and War Stomp down. No healing spray able to go off at the moment as he is stunned and ensnared. Being focus fired by the casters and the backline of the Orc army. And Soin has to retreat back. Does not have the food count to deal with this. And the Kodo Beast takes a snack back home for the ride. And eats a Spellbreaker again. Meanwhile, gonna go take down this red camp, try to get the item from this Ogre Lord. Purchasing, selling some items, buying scrolls of healing, and potentially going to get a creepjack from the back. Ensnare on the sorceress, trying to minimize the amount of slows going on in the Orc army, and the slows are brutal right now. A nice stop onto both human heroes. Invuln pot popped on the Archmage as healing spray started, but immediately canceled with an ensnare by the Orc player. The Torrent Chieftain falling so quickly, still has an Invuln pot in the inventory. The Archmage falls. Ensnare's going out on the human casters right now. Alchemist is falling back before it gets ensnared and surrounded as well. A brutal chain lightning onto the caster line. And a scroll of TP is purchased, and the Alchemist is out of there, taking all of the human army back home. And that was quite a game turner right there with the Archmage falling. And now a potential Expo attempt scouted by the Orc player. Torrent Chieftain growing into an extremely strong hero right now. Farseer, healthy level 5, approaching level 6 quickly. Now almost 5.5. Torrent Chieftain 4.7. And gonna take down this next yellow camp gargantuan turtle here as the Archmage is just being revived standard, not out of the tavern. Not a ton of resources for either player right now, maximizing gold and lumber to the max.
A player's forces are under attack.
And Soin wants to take advantage of this weakened human army without an Archmage. A nice War Stomp, but unfortunately is hitting mostly Spellbreakers who just shake it off and are gonna focus down the Raiders right now. Healing spray canceled by the ensnares, well-timed ensnares to just minimize the amount of healing going out from the Alchemist. Purge is also going out to slow it down and get it surrounded with the trees to help. Chain lightning on the Alchemist. Alchemist has nothing to defend itself with, no TP, no invulnerability potion. The Alchemist is gonna fall here. Took quite a while, but the Alchemist did end up falling. The human still has a decent-sized army, and those breakers are holding their own against the Raiders. Potentially going to take a Raider down. One Raider exchange for one breaker. It's the Archmage 80% of the way out. Need that Archmage out. Need to defend this home base right here and right now. Torrent Chieftain is surrounded, but it has an Invuln pot, so it is going to be in decent shape. And the TP could be transferred. Torrent Chieftain remains surrounded. Chain Lightning not able to go onto the Spellbreakers here, but will take out the Militia and the Peasants. Fortunately, Torrent Chieftain is going to get a TP past, and Orc player is going to be out of here, leaving with 42 food. Both players, 42 food each. And SoK wasting no time, opting to go finish off the camp that he started a couple minutes back. Wants to get this item from the Gargantuan Sea Turtle. This Players pick up the items so fast, I can't even see what the items are. Might have been a ring of protection. Orc player trying to figure out what he wants to do next. Gonna take out this scout tower. Invisible water elemental doing some scouting here. Able to see the incoming attack of the Orc army. Big water Tauren here are invis and have now revealed themselves. Tauren Chieftain getting to the back line, but the Breakers are here to disrupt it. Mana being drained, health being drained. Spear Breakers going to town, but level 6 Farseer right now. Earthquake. It's rumble time in the middle of the human army, and oh my gosh, the human army is falling quickly with Earthquake just disrupting all of the movement. Lightning Shield onto the backline of the human. Casters are falling quick, but the Breakers pushing the Tauren Chieftain back. Fortunately, human is stuck now. Gonna need to break down its own farm to break free here, but plenty of food. Now, plenty of food cap here. Can rebuild that farm, no problem. But human's in a tough situation right now. My gold mine is out, and the Orc has an expo up. Couple peons sitting here idle, quickly put back to work. And the only person mining right now is Soin. And the human army is weaker right now, 36 food. So Soin is in the objectively better position right now. Higher hero levels, more economy, although it has been discovered right now. And meanwhile, he has to long distance mine at best. Purchase going out on the big Tauren, big water Tauren. SoK trying to get into better position here, throwing an acid bomb down onto the Orc army here. Tauren Chieftain pushing the human back. And the Breakers consequently also pushing the Tauren Chieftain back. Level 6 Farseer. Need to be careful here. That Earthquake could just slow your whole army down. Wouldn't be surprised to see it popped here. Tauren Chieftain going to work onto the Spellbreaker. Spellbreakers returning in kind. Feedbacking the Tauren. Draining all the mana they can. Peasants are falling. The boys have been called. Opting to go for some peons. Tauren Chieftain still does have the invuln pot and is going to try to lock down this Archmage. Ensnare and chain and lightning shield on the Archmage. Archmage is falling quickly, taking a ton of damage from Soin here, and the Archmage is going to fall. Level 6 Tauren Chieftain. GG is called. Soin ties it up on Turtle Rock. We're going to game 3. Really impressive performance from Soin there, bringing the game right back to game 3. And I can't wait for this one. What a series so far. And with that, we're going to take a quick break and get ready for game 3. And we're back in the action here on Game 3. The series is tied 1-1. SoK versus Soin, a nail-biter for the ages here. On Autumn Leaves, opting for Archmage, and again, we're going to see some Farseer Headhunters.
Players' forces are
And
under
Farseer
attack.
on the way down. Meanwhile, SoK opting to go for the easy green camp to start. The Farseer is on the way.
A town is under siege.
Here we go. Archmage ready to handle this. Doing a dance around the tree line here.
A player's forces
Archmage
are
gonna
under attack.
work on handling this Feral Spirit to start. Maybe get some nice XP to start, but it will be resummoned. Restarting those wolves, restarting the harass of the peasant line. Also, Archmage taking some damage here from the Farseer and the Feral Spirits. Feral Spirits continue to deal some aggression
A player's forces are
and
under
distraction to the backline of the peasants. But nothing SoK can't handle. SoK's going to push this off. A couple footies onto the Feral Spirit. Also pushing back this other Feral Spirit as well. As we see a Blacksmith coming up. Potential pivot to rifles underway. Feral Spirits being resummoned, and there we'll be back into the human base immediately. Alright, Archmage being pushed back into his own base. Footies sicking onto the Headhunters here. Archmage dealing with the wolves back at home base. Meanwhile, Footmen are chasing these Headhunters back into the middle of Autumn Leaves. One Footman may pay the price for that overextension. But maybe just enough to be denied. Nope, the XP will go to the Farseer. As the Headhunters just have enough health to get back and some grunts to support the Headhunter backline.
A player's forces are under attack.
Alright. And Footy trying to escape this onslaught here. Headhunters getting into position to try to capture this XP. Just a couple more chops from these wolves, and this might be goodbye for the Footy. Meanwhile, over here, Archmage chasing the Orc army back. Playing a little game of hit and run from both players here. Both hit and running one another.
A player's
Opting not to
forces are
creep
under
so
attack.
much. Instead, keep each other busy for the early game. Rifles are now out and will even the score with the strong backline of the Orc army. And Torrent Chieftain's now out, and MK slowly behind, just about 20 seconds. Orc player going Bestiary Spirit Lodge. Also going for the Natural Expo, pushing the Torrent Chieftain back, having some rifle support to help push these Headhunters down. But the Headhunter does retreat back safely to home base. The Torrent Chieftain will scoop those items up. Gauntlets and Tome. Injured Headhunter going to be healing salved. No problem. Gonna take down this last Trapper here, claim the XP, push the human back, as the MK is now online and ready to Stormbolt. And taunting one another, kind of going back and forth with the fake pokes. Archmage is going to pull this camp back a little bit, creep it easily. However, Could be a jack opportunity from the Orc player here. Farseer deciding to target the Mountain King. Mountain King needs to get in a better position here. Already fell to 50% health so quickly. Tauren Chieftain in a scary position with a nice stop, getting 4 units of the human player right here. MK falling to around about 45% health. As the Orc player did quite a bit of damage and might want to get back before losing a couple overextended grunts here due to Stormbolt. And this grunt getting very close to death and will fall due to the Archmage's long-range missile there. Mountain King falling really quickly, but has an Ankh. So is not afraid to fall, but doesn't want to waste the Ankh just yet. The Tauren Chieftain's gonna fall due to the surrounding from the militia. Call the boys. Very clutch surround by SoK there with the militia, taking the Tauren Chieftain down, and a revive with the Ankh of Reincarnation from the Mountain King here. Maybe potentially baiting a slight overextension from Soin. Gonna take down and claim this level 6 item and get the Rune Bracers. Mountain King's gonna like that item being on the front line. Stormbolt going on to the Kodo Beast, trying to claim it before it gets hungry and eats something. It doesn't. Some nice body blocks from the Mountain King and will slay it, granting level 2. Back at home base, Double Sanctum incoming to handle the Tauren Chieftain. Potentially some Breakers casters, just like last game.
A player's forces are under attack.
And getting that Tauren Chieftain level up, trying to get it up to level 3 as soon as possible to be able to hang with the Mountain King, who's quickly getting up to level 3 itself. And Double Sanctum Sorceress is on the way with Adept training on the Priest, be able to dispel those wolves.
Player's forces are under attack.
And both players opting to finish out the creeping here. A little Farseer harass incoming. Nice chain lightning to snipe the experience from the Mountain King. That's a nice little snipe from the Farseer there. Taking a page out of the Death Knight's book. Sniping coils onto the creeps, stealing XP. As the Mountain King just has enough to get level 3 anyway. Tauren Chieftain is there to match it. We have level 2 stop and level 2 clap. Alright, Archmage being pulled back, still letting MK soak as much XP as possible, trying to get to level 2 Stormbolt, which is going to pay off, dealing a lot of damage. 200 damage, 5-second stun. Greatly appreciated. Will easily help lock down some of those grunts, some of those Kodo Beasts, or maybe even be able to surround a hero. Gonna take down this red camp, while Soin finishes off the orange camp to the top. This Granite Golem going to town on the Water Elemental here. It does so much damage, chaos damage, 1500 health, such a beefy creep. Gotta be careful. I've seen many games where, not like it would happen here, but you extend into this creep camp with not a proper army, and this gold could solo your whole army if you don't have the right units to deal with it. MK took quite a bit of damage from that, but in return, I think picked up the Claws plus 12. I'll gladly hand that over to the Archmage. And a potential encounter here that he may not want to take until he gets healed up a little bit with his MK, so backing off. Gonna go buy a Scroll of Healing. And getting Invis on the MK so we can get into good position for those first claps. Also an Invis on the Water Elemental. With level 2 Brilliance Aura, just like game 2. We do have a tower up at the home base to help deal with this harassment attempt as the Breakers are coming online for the human player. Meanwhile, back at the Orc base, couple Kodos and Shaman to help support, as well as a Raider. Invuln pop and Scroll of Healing purchased. Alright, MK continuing to try to get up to level 5. Archmage going to be pulled back so the MK can soak up all this XP. Seems to be the strategy for all of these creep camps, as the Orc player is looking for this human army and instead stumbles upon an uncrept natural expo. And it's just going to take this instead. These armies are so close from meeting right here in the middle. MK and Viz taking a look. Ensnared Sorceresses. This may force the battle to begin. MK is going to get into good position here. A nice collap on the front line and some of the back line here. Torrent Chieftain trying to get into good position, but instead getting focused down by some of the breakers, and a nice stop, only really hitting one rifle though. MK taking quite a bit of damage, but it is just going to be enough when the boys are called to force the Orc army back and TP back home to rethink this. As SoK's going to continue creeping and potentially hit this red camp, get this MK to level 5.
A player's forces are under attack.
Dropping a healing salve for the Farseer back here. Going to get the rest of the army back up. And meanwhile, slow Great Hall, normal Great Hall going, as long distance mining has begun for the Orc player. Going to take both red camps now. I believe SoK will have gotten both red camps. The first one dropped to 12 claws of attack, and this one's going to drop. Khadgar's pipe going to sell that. That's unfortunate.
Forces are under attack.
But some extra gold for SoK that I'm sure he will enjoy. Back over to the Orc player here. Torrent Chieftain trying to get up to level 4 as well. MK in a really good position for a juicy clap to start this battle, but will get ensnared and stuck and war stomped for its troubles. Lightning shield now onto the MK. MK needs to pop an invoke pot and does just in time. It's going to push the Orc army back as the peasants are here for distraction. Expo has probably, I don't know, can you see the Expo from where you're standing right now? There might be a slight visibility line here. You can't see it. Just walk a little further. You will see it. You definitely have to have seen it by now. And now the Expo is discovered and will try to be taken down, but it will also be defended by Soin, who does not want to give this up easily. Rifles have started the encounter, or forced starting the encounter. Focus fire onto this Headhunter, trying to take it down. A clap onto the front line here. Some grunts suffering. MK is also falling a little bit from the focus fire from the back line there. Torrent Chieftain could get a nice stop. Invuln pot with a lightning shield that got dispelled, but the Torrent Chieftain in great position to continue attacking these riflemen, and 2 riflemen will fall as a result of great positioning from the Torrent Chieftain there. 2 illusioned MKs playing tricks on Soin's mind right now, and the real one has revealed itself, throwing a Stormbolt at the Kodo Beast, but focus fire back onto the real Mountain King. Mountain King with some good claps onto the grunts here, but MK is falling quickly. MK has fallen! Torrent Chieftain now in pretty good position to get some stops onto the back line, but is running low on mana. Meanwhile, SoK in pretty good position, all over the place, units all throughout the battle, 54 food each, and the surround on the Torrent Chieftain. Torrent Chieftain also falls, evening the score, leaving just both the caster heroes alive, and the Expo potentially going to fall as well. What a back and forth at the Battle of the Expo here, as the fake MKs distracting the Orc a little bit. The peasants here, they want to take control of this Expo.
Players' forces are under attack.
Torrent is bought with a raider at the tavern. Meanwhile, back home, MK is slow reviving. Human may want to pull back and live to fight another day, especially as this Torrent Chieftain enters the battle again, and SoK will in fact TP out after canceling this Expo and taking it down, bringing both back to 1 base. Alright, and SoK now 59 food. Double Sanctum gonna start boosting those breaker numbers.
The town is under siege.
As the Arcane Vault, which was built during that battle, will also fall. Now, Burrow coming up to get out of the supply deficit that Soin is currently in due to that Expo falling. Taking him from 62 food back down to 51. Can't produce any more units. Gonna be supply blocked until this burrow is finished. And the question will remain, what will start coming? What will the production start once the supply is unblocked. Level 5 Archmage not going to get any more XP from these creep camps, but that MK, as soon as it comes out, would love to just hit an easy creep camp, but unfortunately, no more creep camps on this side of the map. So you're going to have to walk over to this vulnerable area and take some of these for your level 5 MK. If you want to get level 5 before the battle starts, and I'm sure you do. A nice level 3 clap is going to work wonders on the backline of that Orc army. And Soin just going to finish off this Trapper who lingers here. Town Portal purchased. Also, Cloak of Shadows to help with any sort of focus fire attempts. And going to use this opportunity to get the MK up to level 5, who's sitting at 4.9. Certainly going to get level 5 now. That's going to help even the score at the next battle, as now the human has the hero level advantage, getting level 3 clap. And most of the map is crept out. All the big camps are now crept out. And now it's going to come down to the late game here in game 3. Both players want to proceed into the tournament, don't want to be knocked out at this stage. It's going to come down to an epic battle with no more creeps allowed. Invis Water Elemental going to get some scouting done, try to figure out where the Orc player is. Has now been scouted. We now know what is to come for SoK. As Soin preparing to pounce. No longer supply blocked. However, no longer producing. And the next battle has begun. MK in decent position here, but still wants to get into a better position to get that Thunderclap off before using the mana. Deny on the Water Elemental as well. Nice clap onto the army here from the Mountain King. Torch Chieftain also getting into position with Lightning Shield. It is quickly dispelled from the Priests. MK pops the Invuln Pot. Torch Chieftain does, and the MK does. Both of them have popped Invuln Pots, trying to clap and War Stomp the respective armies. Torch Chieftain is surrounded, but a War Stomp does free him, killing a peasant. MK with a thunderous Thunderclap, bringing the Grunts down to critical levels. Both going to be pulled back, and the Torch Chieftain is focused down. GG is called. SoK takes Game 3 on Autumn League.